Martial and philosophical arts since the mid-1960s. Mark has been a professional member of the National Qigong Association since 2006 and a regular presenter at national conferences across the country. He's the creator of Three Rivers 12 Steps Qigong for Recovery. He will be speaking today on Aspiring to Heaven, and we'll follow the sermon with a moment of silence for those who wish to reflect. Take it away, Mark.
It's Solar New Year, by the way, that the sun is out. In the Chinese tradition, Year of the Dragon's coming up next Saturday, but today is Solar New Year, so what a nice celebration. How's everybody doing? Well, we're going to be doing that almost. So I'm going to talk about aspiring to heaven. Okay, now, once again, in the Taoist tradition, everything, we don't get too wrapped up in words. Okay, so whatever heaven might mean to you, deep inside everybody is this innate drive to aspire to heaven. I guess the best analogy I could give is if you plant a seed deep in the earth, when it germinates, okay, how does it know which way to grow? It's buried in the dark. It's buried in the soil. How does it know that way? How? So this is, huh? It's aspiring to heaven. It's aspiring to heaven. That's the drive everybody has. And deep down inside, you have a desire to aspire to whatever, however you might define heaven, whatever. You want to better yourself. You want to better the world around you. You want to be of service to people. That's aspiring to heaven. In Chinese medicine, if somebody has qi deficiency, okay, for example, qi deficiency, you're sluggish. You give them herbs or foods that aspire to heaven. Asparagus. It's like, so the kind of foods that grow that way, corns, things that aspire to heaven. So you have that. You want to learn how to tap into that, aspiring to heaven. What do you do? You know, there's a drive for everybody. We are by nature good. This thing about, war is in our nature, I don't believe it. Because if you look around, the people around, nobody's intentionally going after anybody else, unless it seems like we're being told that. It's like, well, these people are, no, sorry, not buying into it. And then once again, that's kind of like, I think the aspiration to heaven, your ability to ascend and to fulfill what you brought into this existence, just like a seed. The seed knows which way up is. And it will grow. It will do everything it can, adapt to all kinds of environments to maximize its aspiration. It's going to take itself through its whole cycle. You're at the mercy of the environment around you, but still adaptation, overcome. When you wake up in the morning, why do you wake up in the morning? What do you want to do for today? It's usually, why do you take care of yourself? Why do you eat well? Why do you exercise? What are you doing all that for? To maximize your ability to aspire to heaven, however you might define that. I'm a teacher. That's what I do. So everything I do is revolved around acquiring information so I can share it with other people. To hopefully give them the opportunity of what I present to them, whether or not they embrace it, to improve their life. I can only operate from what has worked for me and what continues to work for me. You're going to have to find all that stuff and trust that, because you'll always have that little bit of, like I said, everybody has peace in their heart. You all have it. The idea is to stop giving it away. So I'm doing something. You all know deep down inside when you're doing something correctly, something that will benefit. You all know that. You know when something's wrong. Something goes against it, it just doesn't feel right. I think the way society, and we've been told to not trust that, I think that's the source of a lot of problem with people. You start questioning yourself. Well, maybe this is the inner conflict. And I think the majority of the spiritual traditions have been to override that. Trust yourself. I mean, I don't do positive and negative. I've gotten rid of those in my work, because what's the difference? A negative situation can be the best thing that ever happened to you if you learn how to adapt, overcome, and work with it. A positive situation can be just as bad. I always tell the story. I had a client he could not wait until he got this new job. 3 months, I'm gonna get a new job. Oh, it's gonna be great. And he got the job, and 3 months after he got the new job, it was like, eesh. Like, what happened? It was the worst thing that ever happened. So I don't do good or bad. I don't. There's all kinds of the understanding of the yin and yang symbol. You always have energetic polarities, okay? They're not opposites, they're polarities, okay? So there's all kind of, I always I aspire to this where there is no such thing as external stress. There are a lot of energetic situations that are going on all around you all the time. You may not think you have control over, but you have 100% control over the frame you put around it. How are you going to frame that situation? Is it good, is it bad? If it's raining outside, somebody might say, oh, it's raining outside. Another person who works outside is like, oh, great, we're off today. So, I mean, how you frame the situation, you want to keep yourself balanced. First of all, the spiritual traditions, you have to access that, your GPS, your global positioning system that aspires to heaven. What did you come here to do? Usually it's be of service to people. I mean, most spiritual traditions boil down to don't be a jerk. I mean, really, if you read all of them, it's just don't be a jerk. It's really easy. So how are you going to frame what you're doing? Like I said, the power of entrainment. When everybody was laughing, when we were doing all our kind of whacking ourselves in the head here, everybody was laughing. Did you notice, I noticed, there was a change in the overall energetics of the room. Okay? Now, voicing concerns, and yeah, that's you do that, but it changes. When you keep yourself elevated, believe me, there's stuff been going on all around the world. It's always been going on. The problem is now with the news cycles, we are seeing all of the atrocities immediately. They've always been going on, always. It's never been different. The thing is, where do you want to reside? Do you want to change the overall vibration, raise your vibration, and then that's infectious. It really is. I mean, when everybody's laughing and having a good time, you ever go to a Baptist church ceremony? Oh, yeah. Try walking around like, oh, yeah. If you're not feeling the Holy Spirit moving through you, then. But that's everybody's laughing. So once again, everybody's laughing right now. So it's like I'd work a lot with addiction and recovery. The thing of it is your individual spiritual practice. Okay. The analogy I use is a lot of times when people go to meetings, it's like everybody feels great at the meeting. Oh, right, this is great. They leave the meeting, all right? But they're not working their program. They're not doing their steps. They're not doing it. All of a sudden, they're charged up because of the power of entrainment. Everybody's great. Yeah, I'm done. Okay. They're not doing their work, and all of a sudden, they can't hold the charge, and it starts dropping. And before you know it, you go right back into the problem. So that's why a spiritual practice, daily, whatever you want to do. I mean, I put out get the Many Fingers, One Moon newsletter. Yeah, there's many fingers, there's one moon. There's many different ways. And a lot of the battles are because of, no, my finger's right. No, my finger's right. No, my finger's the right way. My finger's bigger than yours. Everybody's missing the moon they're pointing to. There's one even have a hard time, divinity, whatever you want to call it. Probably the most profound, I was just sharing with Shannon, my thought is the most profound spiritual text opening line has to be the Tao Te Ching, which says the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. In other words, as soon as you try to put any of this stuff into words, you've missed the point. And now, when he wrote that, that's 81 poems, and he said, the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao, but I'm going to write the rest of the poems. That's the whole idea of the Taoist stuff, is pointing to things that aren't there. Okay, one of the chapters is shape clay into a vessel, and it's the empty space inside that gives its purpose. Cut a house with doors and windows, it's the space inside. There's the other thing in the first chapter, it's ever desiring, you see only the manifestations. Ever desire less, you see the mystery. So if you're always focused on this and things, you know, you're focused on else. But when you don't want anything and you allow everything to move and proceed, doing the best as you can, then all of a sudden you start seeing the mystery that everything comes out of. It's amazing. It really is. And when you just let it go, don't try to change things, don't try to force things. Like I said, there is suffering, pain all over the world. There always has been. So I look at it as my job is to maintain my vibration and do what I can to help when I can. The Buddhists have a term, it's called skillful means. Skillful means, that means is when you're in a situation and you have an opportunity to convey a teaching or something to somebody, your ability to do it in a way that they will be able to receive the information. That's skillful means. Buddha had a friend who was a lute player, and he followed Buddha and he wanted to learn the trick. And Buddha said, "Give me your lute." And he was like turning the strings, and he turned them really tight, really tight. And the guy said, No, you'll snap the strings. He said, "Oh, okay, we'll loose them." And they were really flappy, there was no sound to them. And he said, No. He said, "Well, you tune it. It has to be just right. No extremes." And in that moment, the lute player got enlightenment. It's like, oh, okay. The middle path. Do what you can when you can do it. Be nice to everybody. If you're capable of being. Just be, right, exactly. This is your aligning your spiritual practice. This is where you align with your aspiring to heaven, because that's your kind of like GPS, if you want. You have to access that in you because everybody has it. Okay? Health. The idea in all the Chinese arts is just get you back to homeostasis. Your body knows what perfect health is. It's like a needle on a compass. It will always point north. It will always point north, okay? Yeah. You put a stick in the way, all right? It wants to go. You remove the stick, goes right back to it. It's the same thing with health. We know what perfect health is. You have to kind of like tear apart the stuff that's going, well, why do I feel the need to do this? Or why do I need to engage in practices that I know are going to hurt me physically? Once again, Chinese tradition, Jing Qi Shen, Jing, physical, Qi, energetic, emotional, mental, Shen, spiritual. You have to work on all three. Because what's the old spiritual math? 1 + 1 + 1 = 1. Right. You have to address all three levels. Okay? You have to do that. You know, you can have a physical problem through your life, but emotional is the same thing. And there's pathogenic factors on all three levels. You know, there's, okay, if you're not resting properly, eating properly, there's plenty of germs, viruses, and bacteria out there that are going to attack you. Okay? Well, it's the same thing on the emotional, mental level. If you're off your center and residing in fear and anger and hate and everything, there's plenty of emotional pathogens out there that are like, same thing, on the spiritual level. If you don't have some kind of, and usually, usually the spiritual practice, excuse me, can be boiled down to the acknowledgement that there is something greater than you, and then whatever metaphor resonates with you, because they're all metaphors. They're all trying to put words on something that can't be spoken. But you have to have all three of those. So like the concept of spiritual pathogens and ghosts and demons, it's really not a far cry, because it's this, everything works on the same way, all three levels. People say, oh, that's scary, I saw a demon. Okay, if you took a germ or virus and bacteria and blew it up to life size, okay. So it's the same thing. But now understand that there's different densities of energy. The physical layer is the most dense, okay? When you start working on the emotional and mental level, that's a higher vibration. So a lot of times emotional and mental thoughts, they take more of a toll on the body. You can go through life with like a, you know, a twisted ankle or something, or a broken arm. Look at Les Paul. Anybody know who Les Paul is? Guitar player? Okay. He was in a car accident, and his arm, he had to pin his arm because he couldn't do anything with his arm, so they had to pin it either one of two ways. He had his arm pinned like this, so he could play guitar. He cannot let his arm down. It was pinned like this. So that was a physical thing that he dealt with. Once again, you get into the emotional mental, the vibration is higher, so it takes more of a toll on you. Okay, so holding on to, in Chinese medicine, we have the, and I'm gonna be doing that with you guys, and yeah, okay? The 5-element thing is energetic psychology. Every one of your organs, what the Chinese have found is you have virtues and you have acquired emotion. Like the virtue of patience, kindness, benevolence resides in the liver. The acquired emotion, now I don't use negative, some people would say the negative emotion of anger, rage, lust, that damages the liver. So in other words, if you hold on to these emotions, it will damage your organ systems. Worry, obsessiveness, tensiveness. You know anybody who worries a lot? Stomach problems. Do you have stomach problems? Yeah, right, because
Depends on what I eat, but yes.
it's more how you eat it or when you eat it. The stomach and spleen is the earth element, and those kind of negative emotions or acquired emotions damage the elements. I had a lady with crippling asthma, okay? She came in, and the first thing I asked her, I said, do you have any unprocessed grief issues? Here, she lost both of her parents within like a month of each other. She didn't process the grief. Grief, sadness, loneliness, if you hold on to it, damages the lungs. So you process those thoughts, the respiratory stuff goes away. It's an amazing system, man. It's like my t-shirt says, you know, that's the 5-element system. It's been around for a long time. I have a t-shirt that says a fad doesn't last for 5,000 years. It doesn't. But once again, this is a responsibility. You can just change your mind with this. Recalibrate the body, because aspiring to heaven could be compared to homeostasis. Your body knows what perfect health is. Get out of the way. And then the spiritual practice, aligning, be the seed. And every time you get up in the morning, how do you know how to get up? Be the seed. You're all programmed. You all have a gift. The universe is designed, it's a very benevolent thing. It might not look like it, like forest fires and floods, but they're usually done to clear out so new growth can happen. Align yourself with nature. If you, the Taoist tradition, if you want to get a good working definition of Taoism, it is observe nature and live according to your observations. That's it. We were talking about seasonal anxiety kind of stuff. My contention is, if you look at nature, what goes on in the winter? What's happening in nature?
You get to see the structures, the inner structures that support the rest of the season.
Everything goes dormant, goes quiet. okay? So wintertime should be a time you sleep more.
Yeah.
Okay? Eat warming foods. Stay away from cold stuff. No raw vegetables in the wintertime. In Chinese medicine, salads and raw vegetables are, ugh, they really damage the stomach because they're cold. They're cold, and the nature of cold is to, like, you get the gas bloating and stuff like that. We are not designed to eat raw vegetables. We do not have ruminant stomachs. So the Chinese will always, you need to steam vegetables, pre-digest them before you eat them, okay? So what else is going on? Sleeping, everything's going dormant. So in this time of the year, this is the time to do more of your meditative practices, be quiet, rest. But what happens is the way society trains everybody is like, well, since we always have to keep going and going and going, something must be wrong with me because all I want to do is sleep and eat warm soups and meditate. What's wrong with me? Nothing. Nothing. In other words, align yourself with nature. That's my take on like a seasonal anxiety thing. I mean, I like dark. As a matter of fact, in some of the shamanic traditions, you have to train yourself to just sit in total darkness and be comfortable with it. Because when you're in total darkness, what you're going to do is you're going to draw the things you fear the most. My teacher took a retreat over in Ireland that they were doing caves, sitting in caves, just pitch black. And they were sitting there and he asked one of the female students next to him, he said, "Are you afraid of spiders?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Don't look up." It was like the Indiana Jones thing. It's like, because you draw that. You have to be at peace. What's the worst thing that can happen? When you're afraid in the dark, what's the worst thing that can happen with anything? You die. You're dead already. This is the samurai mentality. Like, the samurai mentality was, as soon as you're born, you're dead. The question is, how are you going to live until you die? Most people are waiting to die before they die. You know, how effectively are you going to maximize the gift of this existence? How are you going to aspire to heaven and give thanks to the gift you've been given, however you may view it? How are you going to aspire to heaven? How are you going to be of service? How are you going to help somebody? Just the fact that if I'm making everybody laugh today, there, I'm doing my job because everybody's happy. You know, it takes yourself out of it. And if you just change your whole energetics by being happy, be at peace with yourself. There's an acceptance. The Buddhists also have a concept, it's called rain. R, recognition. All right, let's say it's snowing outside. Recognition, it's snowing outside. A, acceptance, it's snowing outside. I, investigation. How does the fact that it's snowing outside make you feel? How are you reacting? What's going on out there? And then N, non-attachment. It's snowing outside. So that's the thing. You have to look at things. I mean, you have to be, if you really want to do something to impact the world around you, be at peace. Resonate that out, because that vibration is far more powerful than anger and fear and hate and because, you know, light will always destroy dark. Dark cannot produce light. Be the light. Be the seed. I have to make you laugh before I end. Okay, everybody up. One more neurological exercise. Come on, gotta get you laughing. Plus, it feels good to move your chi, all right? Now, give yourself room so you don't hit the person next to you unless you are so inclined to do so. Give yourself room, okay? Now, I'm gonna do this mirror image. Everybody's right arm, you have two movements. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Put the other arm down. 2, 1, 2. Having fun yet? 1, 2, 1, 2. Yay, look at everybody's laughing, see? Okay, now the other arm. is going to have 3 movements, your left arm. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Everybody see where this is going? 2, 3. 1, 2. Okay, what's the lowest common denominator of 3 and 2? 6. Wow, you got that right. Cool. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ready? 1, 2. Wait, just stay with me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1 and 5 are the only time when both arms are going to be up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, good. You guys are doing good. 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
That's why it's a spiritual practice, not spiritual perfect.
Exactly. Y'all did more just now to raise the overall vibration of the planet by doing exactly what you did. Don't dwell in fear. Remember, fear can only exist in the future. And hot flashes, you've really moved your chi. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to have a moment of silence.
There is a long reflector.